history to be read out. And enjoy yourself, and especially enjoy this. I love these things so much. They're my pride and joy. Anyway, since this is going to be a little bit longer, let's just get to it. So the history of Christmas trees today. Right now on this channel. The history of Christmas trees goes back to the symbolic use of evergreens in ancient Egypt and Rome, and continues with the German tradition of candlelit Christmas trees first brought to America in the 1800s. Discover the history of the Christmas tree from the earliest winter solstice to annual celebrations in the Rockefeller Center. Long before the advent of Christianity, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for the people in the winter, pagans. Just as people today decorate their homes during the festive season with pines, spruce, and fir trees, ancient peoples hung evergreen boughs above their doors and windows. In many countries, it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. In the northern hemisphere, the shortest day and the longest night of the year falls between December 21st and December 22nd, and is called the winter solstice. Many ancient people believed that the sun was a god, and that winter came every year because the sun god had become sick and weak. They celebrated the solstice because it meant that at last the sun god will begin to get well. Evergreen boughs reminded them of all the green plants that would grow again when the sun god was strong and summer would return. Ancient Egyptians worshipped a god called Ra, who had the head of a hawk and wore the sun as a blazing disc in his crown. At the solstice, when Ra began to recover from his illness, Egyptians filled their homes with green palm rushes, which symbolized for them the triumph of life over death. Early Romans marked the solstice with a feast called Saturnalia, in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture. The Romans knew that the solstice meant that soon farms and orchards would be green and fruitful. To mark the occasion, they decorated their homes and temples with evergreen boughs. In northern Europe, the mysterious Druids, the priests of the ancient Celts, also decorated their temples with evergreen boughs as a symbol of everlasting life. The fierce Vikings in Scandinavia thought that evergreens were the special plant of the sun god, Balder. Germany is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we know it today. In the 16th century, when devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes. Some built Christmas pyramids of wood and decorated them with evergreens and candles if wood was scarce. It is a widely held belief that Martin Luther, the 16th century Protestant reformer, first added lighted candles to a tree. Walking towards his home one winter evening, composing a sermon, he was awed by the brilliance of stars twinkling amidst evergreens. To recapture the scene for his family, he erected a tree in the main room and wired its branches with lighted candles. Lit candles. Most 19th century Americans found Christmas trees an oddity. The first record of one being on display was in the 1830s by German settlers of Pennsylvania. Although trees had been a tradition in many German homes much earlier, the Pennsylvania German settlers had a community of trees as early as 1747, but as late as the 1840s, England Puritans, Christmas was sacred. The Pilgrim's second governor, William Bradford, wrote that he tried hard to stamp out pagan mockery of the observance, penalizing any frivolity. The influential Oliver Cromwell preached against the heathen traditions of Christmas carols, decorated trees, and any joyful expression that desecrated the sacred event. In 1659, the General Court of Massachusetts enacted a law making any observance of December 25th other than church service a penal offense. People were fined for hanging decorations. That stern solemnity continued until the 19th century, where the influx of German and Irish immigrants undermined the Puritan legacy. In 1846, popular royals Queen Victoria and her German Prince Albert were sketched in the Illustrated London News standing with their children around a Christmas tree. Unlike the previous royal family, Victoria was very popular with her subjects, and what was done at court immediately became fashionable, not only in Britain, but in the fashion-conscious East Coast American society. The Christmas tree had arrived. By 1890, Christmas ornaments were arriving from Germany, and the Christmas tree's popularity was on the rise around the U.S. It was noted that Europeans used small trees, about 4 feet in height, while Americans liked their Christmas trees to reach from floor to ceiling. The early 20th century saw Americans decorating their trees mainly with homemade ornaments, while the German-American sect continued to use apples, nuts, and marzipan cookies. Popcorn joined in after being dyed bright colors and interlaced with berries and nuts. Electricity brought about Christmas lights, making it possible for Christmas trees to glow for days on end. With this, Christmas trees appeared in town squares across the country, and having a Christmas tree in the home became an American tradition. The Rockefeller Center tree is located at Rockefeller Center west of 5th Avenue from 47th through 21st Streets in New York City. The Rockefeller Christmas tree dates back to the Depression era and is the tallest tree displayed at Rockefeller Center arrived in 1948, a Norway spruce that measured 100 feet tall and hailed from Killingworth, Connecticut. The first Rockefeller tree was placed in 1931. It was a small, unadorned tree placed by construction workers at the center of the construction site. 2 years later, another tree was placed there, this time with lights. These days, the giant Rockefeller Center tree is laden with over 25,000 Christmas lights. Christmas trees in Canada were migrated from German settlers in the United States in the 1700s. They brought with them many of the things associated with the Christmas we cherish today: advent calendars, gingerbread houses, cookies, and Christmas trees. When Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert, put up a Christmas tree at Windsor Castle, also say nacimiento means nativity scene in Spanish. I will say, personally, as far as what I usually do for a tree, I think everybody has their own traditions. I think we can probably stop reading that now and then just kind of, I guess, go on a personal note here. So I had a very complicated childhood in terms of Christmas trees. This sounds so odd at first, but stay with me. So my mother likes, I'd say, mid-sized trees where it's, as far as American standards go, where it's probably somewhere in the area of about 6 to 8 feet tall. And she only really likes white lights on the tree. Normally, there's not really a lot going on in terms of ornaments. She was very, I guess, color coordinated with what she would put on the tree. So our trees growing up, and I should mention my parents are divorced. They divorced when I was 5. Oh, I apologize. They split up when I was 5. They did not divorce until I was 8. So they were separated. But I have had, since 5 years old, I've had 2 Christmases, except for the last couple of years. But my mother has always had just white lights and very, I guess, coordinated decorations, which I'm not bragging. I'm not saying anything bad on that at all. We had an artificial tree literally every year. I didn't actually have a real tree until I started buying trees. And my father would only do colored lights, no white lights whatsoever, and the tree would essentially be whatever looked nice, or, you know, I guess more personalized things. So if I made anything in school, it'd be up on there. It did happen with my mother as well, but it was a little less likely just because we didn't put as much on the tree. And I understand that now, because if you put too much and weigh it down, we had animals and kids running around, so that makes a lot more sense to not have as much. My dad, there was not as much going on usually when we had Christmas with him, so we could pretty much put whatever on the tree that we wanted to. These days, for the last couple of years, since I've been with my spouse, I will say, when we first got together, we ended up buying trees, and I had never had a real tree, so our first Christmas together, I remember that we ended up going to a Christmas tree sanctuary that was out in the middle of nowhere, and picking up a tree, actually getting it, and having a real tree for once. And it was awful because of the needles, because we weren't prepared for it with like the bag, but it was actually fantastic just because I had never really had that full wonderful smell of a Christmas tree in the house, and we had lived in a 1-bedroom basement apartment. So the smell really had nowhere to go. It smelled like just this gorgeous pine pretty much the entire time from when we put it up right after Thanksgiving, when we got it, put it up right after Thanksgiving until we chucked it. I'm also really bad about getting rid of Christmas trees or taking them down. Usually I don't take it down until Valentine's Day, especially if it still smells really good, because real trees that are cut actually do last quite a while, and you can recycle them. That's what we've done. You can drop them off to be recycled pretty late. I think the cutoff last I checked for a lot of places like St. Patrick's Day. We're not doing one this year, however, and that's just, we transitioned from doing full-size trees to smaller, and while I do love putting a lot of ornaments up on the tree, especially because my spouse's grandmother hand makes one for us every year, this year I don't really want to go out and get one, and I'm not really a big fan of the plastic ones, just because if something happens with that, it's basically just going to be rotting away in a landfill instead of being able to be recycled like the real ones. But we're not doing one this year, unfortunately. Well, I should say we didn't, because it's today. But I don't know. It's a little bit odd that we're not doing it this year, just because especially because my office Christmas party last year, we came in matching very loud Christmas sweaters that have bells sewn onto them, so you could probably hear us from like 10 miles away just walking around. So to have it go from being, I guess, almost overdone with Christmas to this year we have decorations up. We don't have like a main centerpiece in terms of a Christmas tree. It is a bit odd, but we do have like our lights inside. We have our decorations up, and I still feel a little bit of the spirit, but we're not even doing like a lot of presents for other people this year. We're just hand making cards. We always hand make our cards for Christmas with basically like felt and paper, that sort of thing. They usually turn out pretty good. I get burnt with hot glue. Did this year, but I think that's a little bit more important to actually show appreciation, is putting time and effort into making a card for somebody even, instead of just buying someone something. But considering how up in the air everything is right now, I know Christmas is hard for a lot of people, and I hope it's really not for you watching. For me personally, it's not. I'm blessed. It could be way worse than it is. Absolutely could be way worse, but it's just this kind of fear of not knowing what's going to happen next, I guess, that's put a little bit of a damper. But it's also this thing of being happy that you're able to celebrate something with your family during all of this, even if you have to be far away from each other and have to do it over Zoom. Still, at least being able to say, I've got my family here, and I've got another year down, basically, because we, in a week, are going to be in 2021, which is absolutely wonderful to think about, but also kind of scary. I don't know. I just want to say, to everybody watching, I hope that you have a fantastic Christmas if you celebrate, that you had a happy Hanukkah or a Kwanzaa. I know those are a little bit earlier in the month. Dang, I should plan something for those too. I will do that next year. I will definitely do that next year, as much as I can, considering I'm not Jewish. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to fully celebrate